On the morning shift.
Anything
could happen.
Sudbury News Talk on the morning shift.
Hey, good morning, everyone. Welcome to Sudbury News Talk on the morning shift. I'm AJ Walsh. Glad to be here with you. Thankful that you're here with us. We got to make every morning interesting as we get started with the show. There's always something that keeps us on our toes and something that happens. Anything can happen, as the intro says on the show. Welcome to Sudbury News Talk. This is Wednesday. It is Hump Day, and we are already June the 5th. Can you imagine that? June the 5th already? The longest day of the year is only a couple weeks away. And then the days start getting shorter after that. I can't believe it. Anyways, just my fascination with stuff like that. Seems like we just started getting into the, spring and summer, and then already it's the days are going to start getting shorter after June 21st, basically. So here we are. We're at Hump Day. It is, we're live on CKLU 96.7 FM. CKLU 96.7 FM each and every weekday morning between 7:30 and 8:30 a.m. And we're also streaming at cklu.ca. And you can just click on the Radio Player Canada app. You can stream us. You can also download the same Radio Player Canada app, take us with you, and listen to us anywhere, anytime on your favorite device. We're streaming live at facebook.com/Sudbury News, youtube.com/Sudbury News. You can catch us afterwards. Make sure to like, share, subscribe, and follow the channels that we have and the pages. You can comment on Facebook or YouTube because we're live. And then afterwards, we're on demand at Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, now X, and then also Sudbury.news. You click on the Sudbury News Talk tab, and we live on demand after that. But you can only keep the conversation going on our Facebook platform, unfortunately, or for whatever, it is what it is, so you can keep the conversation going. We'll do our best to get the comments live, read for those that are listening, and for those that are watching, get them up on the screen, and also for those watching on demand as well. I have a great show planned for you today. As usual, we'll cover local news headlines from around the area right here in Greater Sudbury, and taking the news from our local news aggregator at Sudbury.news, all the local news, CBC, CTV, Sudbury Star, Sudbury.com, all coming into one location. If you just visit Sudbury.news on the internet, that will give you the all the Sudbury news that you need in one location. And we're also happy to bring upon, to take on our first partner that's going to sponsor our our weather segment. And we're glad for Duck Check to be on board with that. And we're looking forward to working with them, possibly. We're just going to try this out and see how it goes, right? That's all we can do. But this is a conversation on your station. It's a way to talk about local issues that are going on here, things that are important to Sudburyans, not only Sudburyans, but people in the region, in the province, in the country, and in the world, really. We talk about social issues that impact each and every community around the world, I believe. Things are getting really interesting in the world, and we're just trying to basically have a conversation and understand the world in which we live, whether it's our neighborhoods or when we turn on our television or watch the news online when we can get it. It's harder and harder to get it in Canada due to government policies, but when we look at what's going on in the world, we try and make sense of what's going on, and it's not all that easy to do. Things are getting more and more complicated as we move along in our society. And so encourage everyone to comment. We'll have a great conversation right here. But first, we'll just dive right into our weather segment, and we'll be back with weather and news headlines, your comments, and much more right after this. right. And your weather are brought to you by Duck Check. It's duckcheck.com. And here we go. 17 degrees currently, and it's cloudy. We're also expecting a mix of sun and cloud. Today, becoming cloudy this afternoon with a 40% chance of showers late this afternoon, and then a high of 28. But the humidex, it'll be 33 degrees. The UV index will be 8 or very high. Tonight, showers, risk of thunderstorm this evening, local amount of 15 to 25 millimeters. And the wind will be moderate, and the low will be 15 degrees. Thursday, cloudy with a 60% chance of showers. And the high will be 19. And the UV index will be 5 or moderate. The 60% chance of showers tomorrow with a high of 19. As we said already, 60% chance of showers on Friday, high of 16, so it's getting cooler. Also cooler on Saturday, 16 as well, 40% chance of showers. High of 19 on Sunday with a 40% chance of showers. And then they're talking about a mix of sun and cloud, high of 23, and the same mix of sun and cloud on Tuesday. So Monday and Tuesday, 23 and 26 respectively, with high of, with mix of sun and cloud. And then look at your satellite. This was taken at about 3:30 a.m., but you can see a lot of that activity coming towards us from the west to the east. And that's your Sudbury weather, brought to you by Duck Check. Visit duckcheck.com for anything to do with your ducks. That's residential, commercial, or industrial. Check out duckcheck.com for more information. We'll be back with your news headlines, your comments, and a deep dive today into jumping off from where we left off yesterday when we come back. Stay tuned. Okay, we're back, and we're here, and here we go. So who do we got on? Looks like we got a few people on this morning. Facebook algorithms, I'm not sure what happens with those. Some days it's, you say a word or whatever, and there's the algorithm affects the amount of people that are on, but usually in the comments, it's pretty much the status quo. But anyways, Nancy, good morning. And from... Oh, my goodness. From Nana. Hope you're having a great morning. Okay. And you as well. I believe it's Nancy, but says Nana, so I'm not sure. But good morning to you. Hope you're both having a good morning, along with Evelyn as well. What's new besides wars? Well, there's all kinds of things going on, and I think in every aspect you can liken it to a war. Basically, there's a kind of a societal war. There's a war on drugs. There's a war on homelessness. There's a war on, all kinds of points of view, I guess you can say. People warring with each other, and then there's actual physical wars going on in the world. Everything seems to be a struggle, and it's I guess just life in general. But the world is in an unprecedented state right now. We've never been where we're at, and it's in world history. It's a really interesting time. It's an interesting time to just have an independent talk radio podcast news show like we have here discussing these things, because I think a lot of people are frustrated with the world we're living in right now, and just a lot of things don't make sense, and then when they do make sense, and then you try to discuss what you're making sense of with others, and they go, no, that's not the way it is. It's like this, and it's like, wait, aren't we living in the same world? Do we see things the same way? It's interesting. It's just an interesting time. So good morning, Judy. Thanks for being with us. Much appreciated on Facebook. Hope you're having a great morning along with yourself. David, good morning. Take care. Stay safe. Denise, I'm blocked from sharing again. Oh, okay. Well, I don't know if that's a personal thing with yourself or you just can't share this show because it looks like there's something going on in the algorithm. A lot of people say they used to get alerts when the show came on live. Like, you subscribe, you follow your different shows or whatever, and you get an alert. That's kind of normal. That's what Facebook's supposed to tell you when you follow people that have the ability to go live. They go, hey, this page that you followed is live now. But I guess they've made the decision that certain pages will not have that feature for some reason, which nobody knows. They've decided. They're the deciders, right? And so we're just grateful for the platform that we're on, but not sure why. And we have a big question mark as to why certain things are done the way they are. Things aren't transparent, and we're not sure, but we just kind of forge ahead and continue, and that's all we can do. But yeah, sorry to hear that you're blocked from sharing. And good morning, beautiful people. Blessings abroad. And that's Denise as well. Good morning, Patriots. That's Brian. Good morning to you, Brian. Hope you're having a great morning. Marianne, good morning. Everyone from Barrie, liked and shared as usual. Good morning, Marianne. And Monique says, good day, everyone, with a lot of emojis, sunshine, smiley, heart emoji, keeping it positive. And I really appreciate the positiveness. There's a lot of negativity in our world and in the news and just in the everyday fabric, I guess, of, or could be, I guess you can say through the media, there can be a possibility of negativity, things to worry about, things to be fearful for, things that are, made to be possibly more than what they are to make people more fearful. And just in that environment, it's like if someone kept walking in your house and telling you negative things all the time, it's like when you turn on social media or you turn on the TV or the radio, it's the same thing. It's like inviting someone into your house to tell you a bunch of fearful things. And we don't know what that does to our psyche a lot of times with just media in general. And if you look back throughout history, it's there's no shortage of that. Again, like headlines sell papers back in the day when there were papers, when papers were the thing. And now it's clickbait or whatever to get people to view their story. They need to be the loudest and have the headline that catches you the most in order to click on it. And a lot of times it could be fear-based, and so everyone's kind of shouting at you to look at them, listen to them, and that will definitely have an effect on us. And it's just an interesting time we live in. So good morning from River Valley. That's Linda. Good morning, Linda. Hope you're having a great morning. Isaiah also says, will Canada lower interest rates today and push the can down the road? Yeah, well, yeah, that's something that economically speaking, I think Canada has made some interesting decisions on how the economy is going, and our current government with the taxation, overtaxing people, as far as I'm concerned. Most of us take, just a fraction of our paychecks home. And then from that fraction, you go out and try and buy things, and everything's taxed to the hilt. And so you have a portion of your paycheck that you have left after it's taxed. And then you go out and try and buy things that are taxed. And then you hear, in order to save the planet, you have to be taxed. Everything's taxed. So the water, the land, now the air is taxed. I guess you can make the argument with climate change that the air is taxed. So they found a way to do that. And it's just, again, you can only be taxed so much until you got nothing left. And what I used to say was, just take everything I got and give me an allowance, because that's what you want. You can see that. You just want everything I have, right? You want it for some reason. I don't know what the reason is that you want everything, but you want to control everything. You want everything. So take all my money, take it all, and then just give me an allowance back. But wait a minute. Yes, we've already come up with that. It's called universal income. Hey, look at that. It's your lucky day, right? So that's exactly what the end goal is. And I also thought, banks, you walk into a bank and they charge you for every little thing, for no reason. And I just thought, maybe they need the money really bad. So just put a donation box. All the banks need to put donation box. Just give today, to the bank, because we really need your money. Like, you're giving us your money already. We're investing it already. We're investing your money and making money off your money, but we need to keep charging you for your money. Every time you put it in, take it out, do something, we're charging you for it. So we must really need the money. They should have a donation box every time you go in. You should feel sorry for them because they really need your money, and just give them more money. Like if that's what's making them happy. I mean, eventually there's no money left from the people. So then what? What do you do when you got nothing left to give? You've taken it all. I know the WEF, their slogan is "You'll own nothing, but you'll be happy." So you can kind of see that in the slogan already. You'll own nothing. Somehow you'll be happy owning nothing. I don't know how that is. It seems like they're more than happy to own everything. So, yeah, I can't. And last time I checked, I think they're human beings. So I think they breathe and they eat and they sleep and they put on pants one leg at a time and they have children and, just like any other human being. But somehow they're going to own everything and you're not. So I don't know what separates certain people from other people and make some people able to own everything and you'll own nothing. I just don't understand how that works, but I guess it's just me. I'm the only one who, sometimes I feel like the only one. I know a lot of people on here are going, hey, that's exactly the way I feel too. So I understand that. Good morning from Belinda. If you surrender to the wind, you can ride it. Wow. If you surrender to the wind, you can ride it. Try to travel light. Be good to yourself. Okay, I guess that's the WEF's take on it, right? They want us all to travel light so that way we can go with the wind, right? No, and I know that's not what you meant. You meant basically don't bog yourself down with stuff. And sometimes life, don't buck certain things that are inevitable. And you need to change and go with things. And the more baggage you take with you, sometimes it's harder to do that. And so I appreciate that. There's so many conceptual ideas that can help us each and every day to live happier, more vibrant, fulfilling existences on this planet. And you're definitely on the right track, Belinda. Thank you very much. So Denise, Facebook blocked me from sharing. Well, that's interesting. Yeah, did they tell you why? Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's, to me, in university, we used to talk about these social media platforms being, a common good for the people, and they should just be fair for everybody. But it seems like the ones in charge of it decide who gets to share, who gets to see what, who gets to say what, and they can shut you down at any particular point in time. But who are the ones making those decisions? Why are they making those decisions? What did you say that they didn't agree with, and why don't they agree with it? These are the questions some people ask. Okay, so Marianne says, I gave up on notifications. Everyone I follow, I never get notifications. LOL. Well, there you go. That's interesting. I got an idea. Why don't you follow, just for an experiment, Marianne, follow The View. The View, the show that's, in American television. Maybe follow their social media, and maybe they go live every once in a while, and see if they give you notifications for The View. Just see. And then maybe it'll answer some of our questions as to which particular channels or pages that they will endorse by allowing and which ones they won't. Maybe we can do our own little experiments that way. And it might put a spoke in the algorithm if they see that you're following The View. They might go, wow, this is interesting. Okay, so Denise, I'm really happy with the garden this year. More and more planting. Mushrooms also, hey, that's cool. A lot of planting going on this time of year. Yeah, you don't want to do it any sooner than now for sure, because frost, right? We had a frost, I think last week even. So unless you take precautions for the frost. Marianne says, we have been robbed with taxation our whole lives, and no wonder we are starting to look like a third world country, which is their end goal. And I can't disagree with you. It seems like it's where we're headed. Marianne says, I remember when bank cards came out, not everyone got them. True. Now try not having a bank card. You just wouldn't get very far, right? So you can almost see into the future. And I have a friend who's in the hospital. I have a couple of friends that are in the hospital right now, so shout outs to them. But one in particular said yesterday that they are going all digital with their medication system. So they come to you with a cart. It's got a computer on it. They do some kind of scan with you. They put your information into the computer. I guess the doctor has done the same at some point, and it allows the medications to be dispersed to you. So it's all computerized now. He says they kind of made a big rush in order to do this for some reason. They're rushing. There's possible glitches with this particular system, so people getting the right medication or medications, it's all digital now. There's no paper anymore in the hospital, so that's interesting. Discussing the idea of bank cards and the way the banking is going. It's all going to be digital before you know it. It's going to, people are going to buck it. They're going to try and stop it, but it's just like debit cards, right? Like try stopping that. It's just there's a big machine on the move, and as the old adage says, who can make war with the beast? Kind of thing. Now, I also think you got to do what you can, like you do. And you have to, if you are principle based and you believe in things, you have to stand up for it. But I guess you can kind of look into the past and say some things, no matter what, are just happening because they're on such a large scale. And do we really have, can we make that type of a difference on how the world buys and sells things? Can we really do that? Can we, make cash stick around and continue to use it regardless of what the powers that be want us to do? Like that's a real question. I would hope that we would be able to do that. But if you look in the past, they've been able to make it go their way thus far. And so they have plans to put everything digital in terms of our money system. And it's like hard to see how that will stop. Now, there's definite problems with that because let's say we run out of power or there's a power outage and everything's digital. Like, how do you expect to continue and go and buy something? Like right now, at least you got cash, or you should have a little bit of cash on hand, and that would suffice, right? But now you're starting to see things go totally cashless and rely 100% on your card, which then you don't really need cash anyways. It's all ones and zeros, and it's heading to that, unfortunately. Bob says, I love when the bank asks me what I am doing with my money. I'm taking out when I'm at the teller. Yes, we've seen video of that, right? I think it was right from Canada as well. A gentleman wanted to take out, I think it was $3,000, was going to buy a car or something off of his friend. And the bank teller said, well, I cannot release this money to you unless you tell me what it's for. And that's interesting in and of itself. And people are like, no, that would never happen. Well, yeah, I know it happened to me too. I went to the bank and I took out a considerable amount, more than $3,000 at one time. And they said, oh, do you mind me asking what that's for? And I just told them right off the bat. I have nothing to hide. But at the same time, I'm like, wait a minute. Should I have said where my money is being spent? Like, why do I have to tell you? Like, I gave you my money and now I'm asking for it back, and you charged me, I don't know how much for it, and you used it to invest while it was in your bank. You made money off it, and now you're asking me what I'm doing with it when I'm taking my money back. It just goes to show you the mentality of our society and the institutions that we have here and what they're up to, kind of thing. Just very interesting. Just makes you think, what the heck? Marianne's sad part is that they are taking the digital to gain control of everyone. And there is a control aspect of that. So you'd have to think, are people just inherently good and there's no bad intentions that people have whatsoever? And we go, I know there's a possibility that they can control you and shut you down at the drop of a dime, but would they do that? They wouldn't do that, would they? They wouldn't shut your bank account down, would they, if they had the power? Have we seen any of that from our even Canadian government at all? Would they do that? You answer that question. Okay, Denise, good morning. All from London, Ontario. Good morning, Dennis. I might have said Denise. Good morning, Dennis from London. Thanks for being on, Dennis. Marianne, yes, makes one think. And the Georgia Guidestones, yeah, if people aren't aware of what those are, just look them up on Google. The Georgia Guidestones, erected by the deep state, wanted the world population reduced by 500 million, I believe it is. No, it has to be more than that. It would have to be 5 billion. Yeah, 5 billion. They always tell you, thank God they were mysteriously blown up. Those are the Georgia Guidestones that you're referring to. They were put up mysteriously and they were blown up mysteriously, and they had mysterious things written on them. If you'd like to just Google that, you can see what was written on all of them. And yes, one of the things said they wanted to reduce the population so that we would have a manageable, couple billion people on the, it was like a couple 100 million. Anyways, sorry, I'm just not prepared with the numbers, but it was a small amount of people compared to what we have now. They wanted to get rid of most of us and manage a manageable amount of people, but which really makes you think, there's this ideology out there that the world is overpopulated. And I remember just recently a study that was done that took into account a mathematical equation of every single person that was born on the earth ever since it existed, human being, that is. And if you are into the idea that we evolved from apes, well, until we became an actual human being in the form we're in now, or if you believe in creationism, when we were just created, it's similar timelines, not all that different, and the numbers are almost the same. So when you take human beings, the amount of human beings that ever lived on the earth since we were human beings, and you were to get them all in one place, not just the people living now, but anyone who's ever existed, and you line them up, almost in military format, shoulder to shoulder, and line them up, they would fit in the country of Switzerland, right? Anyone who's ever existed in the world. So you think, wait a minute, that doesn't go with what I would have thought. We're overpopulated. The earth can't handle the amount of people that we have living on it right now, is what I heard, right? But no, it's anyone who's ever existed on this planet. If you line them up in a formation or whatever, they could all fit pretty much in the country of Switzerland. So that gives you a perspective, right? But there's people out there, for some reason, they're hell-bent on continuing the conversation that the world's overpopulated, we don't have enough resources, we have to depopulate the earth in order to make it sustainable. And, you might even be one of those people who think like that, right? So, it's just not true. It's just take a drive to Timmins and then ask yourself that, just for the weekend, just go up to Timmins and then keep thinking the world's overpopulated every kilometer of the trip. And then keep driving after Timmins, by the way, if you want. And then ask yourself, and then say, wow, and then just imagine driving across the prairies towards BC, and then keep that idea, the world's overpopulated. We don't have enough space for all the people, enough land to grow all the food that we need. Really, honestly? Yeah. I think we have an advantage by just living here to just know that that's not a true statement whatsoever. Living in Canada, if you lived in a, overpopulated city somewhere in the world, you may believe that, because when you look around yourself, you're like, wow, there's a lot of people here. Anyways, Denise also says, everything faded into the mist. The past was erased and the eraser was forgotten. The lie became truth. Woo! That sounds very like a quote from George Orwell, which I think it kind of is. Public consultation on saving our local hospitals. Interesting. If you want to check out, click here to download it. It looks like you have something here in the comments to download, but I don't see a link in particular in the comments here about an initiative to save our hospitals, our local hospitals. So Denise, thanks for sharing that, and hopefully there's a link there for everybody. Marianne says, government needs to be in everyone's business, right? And what is the reason for that? I don't know. Why do they need to know everything there is to know about everybody? all the time. I don't know the reason for that. To keep us safe. That's right. It's to keep you safe. Denise says also doctors and nurses are to be replaced with doctors and nurses from the Internet of Things. Yeah, and I can kind of see that possibly happening. Nancy says, that happened yesterday with Kevin, so I know it's true. Oh, yeah, computerized meds dispensing. Exactly. Computerized dispensing in the hospitals now. So if you want to look into that, I don't know the good, the bad, and the ugly. What could go wrong with everything being computerized, right? Sorry, the computer says you don't need that pain medication, and I can't give it to you, kind of thing. All right, so let's continue on. Let's dive right in here. We've got some local headlines for all y'all. Continue the conversation on the comments. We really appreciate all your comments and always do and continue to do that. We just have to move on with stuff here. So going to our Sudbury.news page, the Rotary's highest honor bestowed upon Mayor Paul Lefebvre. The Rotary Club of Sudbury Sunrisers gave Paul Lefebvre a Paul Harris Fellow recognition during a sold-out luncheon on Tuesday. So that's great. Congratulations, Paul Lefebvre, on that bestowing of that honor the other day. Okay, 2 iconic Northern Ontario chip stands put up for sale for more than $1 million each. This is in Sturgeon Falls, so if you want to grab a chip stand and you got a easy, cool million on hand, but don't think the bank's not going to ask you where you're taking your million, because they'll say, what are you taking this money out for? You'll say, to buy a chip stand in Sturgeon Falls for $1 million, but 2 of them up for sale at the same time, and $1 million for a chip stand. Wow. The Riv and Larry's chip stands have been around for more than 50 years and are located across the street from each other in Sturgeon Falls. And that's just interesting. They've chosen the same time to put themselves up for sale and possibly retire. That story is from CBC, and the previous story about Paul Lefebvre was from Sudbury.com. Also, this is something that I believe it was Belinda that sent me something that Councillor Mike Parent was talking about, this $5 charge at the landfill. I guess it's pretty controversial. Excuse me, all of a sudden. Sudbury, Ontario Councillor blindsided by proposed $5 gate fee at the city landfill. So this is from CBC as well. And it's talking about Councillor Natalie Labby, who we've had on the show just recently. And let's just check in here. So Natalie Labby says that she was blindsided by... Okay, thanks for the ads, making it hard to read the story. Appreciate that. On CBC, Canada's... Oh, good morning, Pat. Thanks for being with us. I didn't see you there for a second. And same to you, Claire. Good morning from Sturgeon. Kay's Alliance, Sturgeon Falls. Yeah, we were just talking about Sturgeon Falls and the chip stands. Oh, and thanks, Bob. Reduce the population to 500 million. That is true. From whatever we're at, 7 billion or so. We were talking about the George Guidestones just a little while ago. Because we talk about almost everything on this show, right? There's almost nothing we don't talk about. All right, so a Sudbury City Councillor says she was blindsided by a proposed budget item that would have added a $5 gate fee at the city's landfill on July 1st, which is less than a month away. If it goes ahead, the fee would be in addition to the regular tipping fees residents pay to dispose of extra waste at the landfill. It was a single line item in the city's proposed budget on page, get this, 633. So Councillor Natalie Labby said councillors only learned about the new fee through an internal memo last week, long after council approved the 24-25 budget in December. She said that the memo was part of a pattern of being blindsided by these types of relatively small issues brought forward by city staff. It's not the job of city council to be line-by-line auditors. It just isn't, Natalie Labby said. So we are governors of the board of directors. for the corporation, and we are only as strong as the information that's presented to us. Now, we did talk at length when Natalie was on the show, too, about the idea of people working for the city, and they're in charge of the reports, bringing it to the councillors, so that way they can then approve or disapprove or make decisions, executive decisions on city issues like this. But it seems like there's some nefarious things going on. They slip things in, or they have their own kind of agendas that they try to push forward, and they don't always come forward, and they're not always 100% transparent with the councillors. And you can see why that is, because they think certain things need to be certain ways for certain reasons. And you don't want any of these pesky councillors to get in the way, right? Even though that's their job. So let's just kind of slip this in or do this or whatever, or, just sin by omission, just leave it out. And, oh, sorry, I didn't know you needed that information kind of thing. It's what goes on everywhere. People that work in cities, they have beliefs. They think certain things need to be certain ways, and they think they can go about the business in a way to get what they want. Not saying that that's what's happening here, but it was still, that's what seems to be going on in our city hall. So Labby added that the memo was leaked to former councillor Robert Kerwin, who posted it on his Valley East Today Facebook group, raising public concern about the proposed fee. That's why the city halted and a communications blitz that was going to go out to get people prepared for this new fee, she said. Okay, so there was going to be this new fee, and they were going to advertise it and do a blitz and let everyone know, because you got to let everyone know if they're going to be paying a fee when they weren't expecting it, because you don't want someone to get to the landfill and it's like, hey, I didn't know there was a fee, and then just dump their garbage right then and there and turn around, right? Something like that. Who knows what people will do. So Labby said she's concerned a fee to enter the landfill would lead to more illegal dumping, like I just kind of mentioned, in wooded areas around the city, which we don't need. We do not need. And good morning, Diane. Thanks for being with us. Much appreciated. So we're hearing so much from people across the community that because they have such long waits at the landfill site, that they're just giving up, she said. They're going in back roads, and they're just dumping their garbage in our green spaces and on our trail systems. So city staff, they estimate the cost would be around $200 million to build a new landfill site in Sudbury. Various proposals have been put forward to divert waste from the current landfill. So a motion to kill the fee. At the next council meeting on June 25th, Ward 5 Councillor Mike Parent will put forward a reconsideration motion meant to kill the proposed gate fee. He'll need a 2/3 majority to consider the motion, and then a simple majority to pass it. I think we see this as a core service that we are expected to have within what we pay in property taxes, he said about assessing the city landfill. Parent said the same fee was proposed to council in 2022, 2023, 2024 budget and was rejected at that time. If the city exceeds the current space at the landfill, staff have estimated it would cost about $200 million to build a new site. We don't want to go down that route, Parent said. But he said he doesn't believe new fees are the best way to divert waste from the landfill. I think we need to put a bit more of a targeted effort on multi-residential buildings where there really isn't the same level of requirement for things like recycling or composting, he said. Well, there you go. So we'll have more on that, a little bit more juiciness coming from our city hall. Appreciate it, and appreciate Natalie and Mike. Seems to be you guys are in the news quite a bit and seem to be doing the things that, people in general would more or less agree with. So thanks for that. And there's Natalie right now. I'm commuting, can't weigh in, but the communication was halted due to Councillor Mike Parent's Mike Parent immediately. Yeah, as it was just said in the article. So thanks, Natalie. for that. And hopefully you're safely texting, which I know you are. So thanks for that. Much appreciated. Now, to something that is weighing heavily on my mind, always has been, always will be, is just killing people in the name of caring for them. You know what I mean? It's one thing to go to war and kill somebody. And, you say you don't like them. You're going to go to war. Here I am with my gun. I'm going to shoot you. Okay, everything's up front. But to say, look, I kill you. I'm compassionate. I want only the best things for you. And the best thing for you to do would be to die. I take exception to that. I really do. And that's what our government is saying. And they're saying with their medical assistance in dying. We are a world leader in medical assistance in dying. I'd rather be a world leader in many other things than that. And now we found out some new information on that in an interview with Jordan Peterson here coming up. And we saw the beginning of it yesterday. We didn't have enough time. I just gave everyone a taste of that. But here you have it in its entirety today. And I just, you know what? Canada, we got to give our heads a shake on multiple things. But this takes the cake. This is like, if there was one thing I could talk about with Canada and what we do and how we do it and why we do it, it'd be this thing. This is the cherry on top. Like everything else, as crazy as it is, as crazy as we are as a country and making the decisions that we're making federally, this one takes the cake. And then here's some new information on it. And it's just something that everyone should hear.
It's been known for a very long time that pubescent girls in particular are sensitive to psychological epidemics. So there's a literature on that going back about 300 years. So that's how long the literature has been around. And that was Freudian hysteria, right, back in the late 1800s. And it just morphs into various forms, cutting and anorexia and bulimia, and now the gender transformation pathology. But I suspect that the next thing that's going to happen in Canada when the gender furor wears off, which it'll probably burn itself out in about 3 or 4 years, that would be my guess. But if the MAID people have their way, I've already seen, what would you say, romanticized death encounters distributed online. And so I think that'll be the next thing that'll confront us in Canada.
Well, here's what's really troubling about that, and nobody seems to know this. So I'd love the opportunity to talk about it because it's really concerning to me. So it's not only that it's MAID. People don't understand how MAID works. There's the track 1, the track 2, the immediate, the 90-day to end of life, and all of that. And yes, they stayed the bill till 2027 to the next vote, right? So that's all great. So technically mental health's not included. But what I found out yesterday that really, really bothered me was the mechanism of the actual procedure. So there's this drug called sodium ferropental, and it's made in Italy, okay? So it's used by anesthesiologists. And the anesthesiologist that came forward with this at this testimony was, this individual had been an anesthesiologist for 25 years. He came forward with the Senate subcommittee talking about this with MAID and his concerns with it, because MAID is being seen as compassionate and empathetic in care. So what he did is...
the Nazi euthanasia program started with compassion and care. Right?
I'm so glad you said that, because when I got to do trigonometry, we went to the war museums, and what terrified me the most was walking through the World War II portion and seeing the same verbiage.
Yeah, it's the same thing. Yeah, definitely.
People were telling me I was going crazy. I'm like, no, you don't understand.
No, it's the same thing.
It's identical.
Yeah, it's exactly the same thing.
The mentally ill, the people that are, So what's
people
really...
too distressed to live.
Thank you.
Right, and the categories keep expanding.
And that's what we're seeing, the expansion. So the sodium thiopental, which was really wild about it, is this anesthesiologist was like, it's going missing. We don't have a lot of it. We can't get it anymore all of a sudden over this past couple of years. And so he started researching it. Well, it's made in Italy, and Italy falls under the EU. And under the EU laws, you can never make a drug that is going to be used for execution. But Canada, in North America, the United States and Canada had been using it for execution, in America for death penalty. So they finally caught on to that. And anesthesiologists use it as one of the first drugs pushed to put you under. But here's what's really crazy is they said, well, there's got to be more to this. So they did it's a Freedom of Information Act with the NPR, with a journalist, and they got over 300 autopsies of individuals who were executed in America. And they didn't just get the autopsy kind of overview, they were given in-depth files. And when they went through them, 85% of those bodies showed a 2 times level increase of water in the lungs. So what was happening is when this drug is pushed, it causes a drowning, and it's stated as akin to dying by waterboarding or drowning. Meaning, the reason people in Canada who are given MAID seem peaceful is because they're giving a paralytic first. So they're completely paralyzed, then this drug is administered as one of the 4, and they start drowning to death. Okay? So that means that when it's done by IV, it takes 10 to 15 minutes. That person could be literally drowning. Well, they're drowning to death, but they could be screaming if they weren't under a paralytic. They're drowning to death. We waterboarded people in Guantanamo. There's a reason we had to stop. It falls under cruel and unusual punishment. Yet we are having people like Dying with Dignity say that this falls under compassion and empathy when you're drowning people chemically to death.
You found this out at the Senate hearing?
No, I found this out yesterday when the Senate hearing was given to me and the transcripts were given to me. It was Dr. Joel B. Zivok, Associate Professor of Emory University and School of Medicine, the Vancouver Coastal Health Authority. So what's been happening is that case I was telling you about, Fraser Health is withholding the families. They can't see her autopsy. They're not allowing it. They won't give access. The police have tried to get it.
This is the same case.
This is the same, yeah. So they will not give it to the family. So Fraser Health is abetted, like literally lying and holding information back. So what's wild about this, though, is Dying with Dignity says that this is a painless death. Well, if you take MAID orally, it takes between 30 minutes to 24 hours. 24 hours of active drowning while you're under a paralytic. So the autopsies are showing that you actually drowned to death and you're waterboarded to death within your own body and you can't move or do anything about it. And that's how Dying with Dignity and the Canadian government has disguised MAID, while they're offering it to Canadian veterans instead of treatment, so they don't have to pay for their pensions, so they don't have to pay for their health care, the same way they don't have to do with their elders.
That's part of the slippery slope,
of course
isn't
it
it?
is.
Because it makes such... Well, I saw the other day, now a month ago probably, I think it was a Japanese philosopher who said that it was incumbent on the elderly to submit themselves to government-assisted dying because of the benefits on the cost-saving side.
Are you struggling with back taxes or unfiled returns this year?
No, I'm actually not. But anyways, yeah, so I'm just going to skip over this little ad here and continue the conversation on the flip side. Here you go.
So this is one of my favorite ones. I love this one because most people don't know this. So in 2021, they had a gross reduction in healthcare of $109.2 million. When they did MAID, they cut out another 22 million. So by the end of it all, in that year, the healthcare system, just from doing MAID instead of actually giving people palliative care, was 86.9 million alone. That's just 1 year without the spike. In 2021, it was 10,500. 2022, it's 13,000. And there's been a 30% increase since then. And a high rate is happening in British Columbia. High cost of living, nowhere to live, no housing, and no one to look after these people because the younger individuals just don't have the finances because they can't even buy their own home. So how could they then put somebody in care that costs $8,000 to $10,000 a month when you can't even afford to live in a 2-bedroom basement apartment? And furthermore, there's no housing because we're taking every single person into this country and acting as if Canadians are second citizens, because that's what's happening. Canada is falling. We have no identity. We're killing our own citizens. And people act like people like me are going crazy. I'm not going crazy. I'm screaming at the top of my lungs. We are killing innocent people, and children are on they are on the chopping block. If we didn't stop that bill by the 17th, children down to the age of 12 with parent consent. A 17-year-old could walk into a hospital and say, I want to die, buy MAID, and guess what? If you try to stop it as a parent, you will be arrested. I'm not sure morally where we have either lost our minds, lost the plot, been paid off, or just decided that we no longer care about the generation after us. But something is going really wrong when I have group homes calling me or messaging me on Instagram going, Kelsey, I'm hearing of huge swaths of these groups sitting down going, convincing each other to die, that they're going to walk in together. Because Simons has made it seem like it's bubbles on a beach in a cave.
Yeah. No, that's the
what are we saying?
romanticization that I was talking
So,
about.
but what are we saying to the youth? That there's no future, there's no goals, you can't buy a home, there's nowhere to live, you can't don't try to get a doctor's appointment.
Yeah.
Don't bother. So honestly, what do they have to look forward to? But I'm telling you right now, this has never been talked about. This part here where it is drowning to death, where you're waterboarding to death, no one, not one person has said this. I have never heard this.
And you just found out about this?
Yesterday. And I found out because there was an event in South Surrey that my girlfriend I was telling you about, her mother was taken. She was at, and she goes, Kelsey, one of the Delta hospice centers is being shut down because they refused to do MAID. So it wasn't necessarily Rebel, but it was Sheila and Keon. They made this documentary to talk to people like us going, they're saying that they need government right to do this, but hey, they're already doing it, and they've been doing it. And we have audio recordings of veterans. We have the Minister of Veterans Affairs lying to Mercedes Stevenson on the West Block saying it was one veteran, when we have multiple veterans, multiple case managers, audio recordings, and written testimonies. So are we just okay with everyone lying now? Is that where we're at? We accept lies as truth and there's no moral qualms with that? Because if anybody is a God-fearing individual right now, the whole idea is I don't really care what you believe in. All I ask is stop lying. Be honest. If you want to kill people to save money, say it. That's it. Just say what you mean, but stop dancing around like you're doing this out of empathy. You are killing vulnerable people to save money to send to another country that bought you out in 2013? And that's a CSIS document. We've sold our country, we've sold our people, and we've told our youth that we should just die because there's nothing to live for in this country. How am I supposed to combat that? I'm one voice up there. Thank God you showed up. If you didn't show up, none of us, people like me, would have no footsteps to walk, and we would have no path carved out for us. You're the first in the door. You took the heat. You're like the breacher. You're the guy that shows up and goes, I'm going to kick that door in, and whatever's going to come is I'm just going to take it because I have to. You had a moral obligation, because if you didn't do it, the rest of us would have nowhere to go and nowhere to turn if you didn't show up. So I'm so grateful to be here, and I'm so grateful that you gave us the space, because I don't know what else to do, because I can't scream any louder. I'm loud, but I don't know what else to do anymore. We deserve better, and so do our kids, and so do our citizens. We don't deserve this. Canada doesn't deserve. No one deserves to be waterboarded to death except for the people that deserve to be waterboarded to death. And there are people that deserve to be waterboarded to death. And I can tell you right now that I've seen that done to someone. You don't wish that on anyone. You don't wish that on anyone. It would have been easier. It's easier to put bricks around my feet and go jump in the ocean than it is to die by MAID. That is a terrifying way to die.
Yeah, and that was just a segment from Jordan Peterson's interview there, and it so gives peeks the curtains open a bit and to see behind the scenes of all of the rhetoric that we hear about it, that it's all for your good, it's all peaceful, it's all great. You know, they have campaigns. Was it Simeons, whatever that was that put out the video that everything's great about it, and it's all peaceful and waterfalls and on beaches, and again, we need to look into this if we are worried about the future of our existence. When there's government sanctioned killing that's done in the name of caring, you're taxed in the name of caring and safety. You're policed. There's cameras everywhere. You're gonna have digital currency and in the name of, your economic safety. All of these things are in the name of caring for you and making your life safer and better. And to the point right here, like I said, this is the cherry on top. Right to the end of the idea of killing you. It's for your own good. We need to kill you. You can kind of see they've revealed themselves now a little bit more than ever, and it's not as in the dark, because before you were called a conspiracy theorist. If 10 years ago you were to tell somebody this is what's going to be your future, you would be called a conspiracy theorist. Oh, they're just going to be calling it, some really nice name, and they're going to be offering this to your 17-year-old. And if you try to do anything about it, you'll be put in jail, kind of thing. No, you're a conspiracy theorist. No, but now we're here, and that's what we're looking at, and it's not. That's our reality. So again, today, thanks Miles for reminding us, definitely, especially after we just watched what we watched. Miles came on here a while back, and I thought I would just be able to get his comment very easily, which should be able to do, but that's just not the way things work sometimes. But today we're going to get his comment that today is actually D-Day. It is the anniversary of D-Day. And back in June the 6th, 1944, the Allied forces stormed the beaches of Normandy and changed the course of the war and basically put it on a trajectory for us to eventually win the war. And so Miles says, good morning. Today's the day we remember why we're here. If not for D-Day, I know I wouldn't be here. Many others too. The sacrifices of veterans will soon be forgotten. Only 14 Canadians living are here. Only 14 Canadians left, right? They'll soon be gone, and memories and sacrifices for freedom that they made. And I'm not using that word, they've been made, a lot of the veterans like we just saw. And good morning, Vin, thanks for being with us. So you can see, is that a form of showing respect for the service that Canadians have made for their country, and now they're struggling. And now you say, well, what you could do is probably the best thing to take you out of this really miserable state that you're in. Now you're struggling financially. The government doesn't have enough money to pay you what you deserve. We really, your cost of living is way too high. Sorry about that. And, you're struggling physically. You need medications and things like that. And you probably need a lot of help with your psychologically speaking and things like that. And there's wait times, and you know what? So here, this MAID thing will really do the trick, and it'll be quick and painless, and give me a break. Like, what the heck? Where are we at here? So anyways, that's where we are today. So thanks to those who sacrificed before and recently and continue to sacrifice, maybe not going to war physically, but going to war to stand up for things against tyrannies like this, like we just talked about. Stand up for it. Say it's not right. It's not right to kill people in the name of caring. Now, they've used the excuse that, oh, no, but there's people suffering out there. But again, you give a crack, they'll come in and bang down that door. They'll come in with guns a-blazing, and they'll take a mile. You ever hear that? If you give someone an inch, they'll take a mile. Well, that's exactly what's happened there. They come in with this idea, no, we're only going to do it for the people that are, terminal and blah, blah. And then they just start widening the scope of people that can, until the point it's mental health. Mental health is anything. You could say, I struggle with anxiety, and now you'll qualify for MAID. And people are listening, no, that's not true. It'll never happen. And you'll never have, a shortage of people that just don't see what's happening. It just will never end. It'll never end. And as much evidence as you give people, they'll just continue to deny, right to the point where they're offered it at some point, and it'll, that's where it's going to end. Now, unfortunately, that's where we're going to end today. Hopefully it was I wish it would be on a more positive note, but we can remain positive through all of this. We got each other. We can do this together. Try and make sense of the world we live in. Try and stand up for things that are right and true as much as we can, and make that difference. Speak up respectfully. Speak up, be as articulate as you can, but make sure to make your voice heard in whatever ways you can Do what you can in your circles to make your world as good as it possibly can be. And stay tuned now for Earshot Daily on CKLU. 96.7 FM will be back same time, same place, God willing. Make sure to like, share, and take care. Ciao, everyone.
This is Sudbury News Talk on the morning shift.